Hello, this is Brett from SurvivalComms. And today's video is going to be on camping in a hammock in cold weather. Now, the hammock is normally considered to be a warm weather shelter solution, and for good reason. Your backside gets awful cold. It doesn't matter how much you stack on yourself or if you encapsulate yourself in a sleeping bag. Fleece does do a pretty good job because it's incompressible of keeping you somewhat warm. However, at some point you're going to get cold on your backside, on your arms, or whatever portion of the hammock is actually left hanging in the air. So we're going to take some steps to address that. The first step we'll take is normally you've seen my other video where I talk about my sleeping system where I use an insulated poncho. The insulated poncho is fantastic, but for cold weather I just use this GI Patrol bag, the green bag from the MSS. This is a great sleeping bag. They're inexpensive, they're fairly light, they're very strong, and they have a lot of room inside of them to move around, which is nice. Typically in a hammock I just unzip it down all the way. I place my feet in this end here. I have a nice foot box, and I just lay it over top of myself as such, like a giant quilt, and that works well. When the temperatures get much colder, zipping it up all the way allows me to seal in my all that warmed air and act as a sleeping bag. However, because it is like a sleeping bag construction with the insulation, when it's compressed, it provides no insulative value whatsoever. So protecting that back side is just a closed cell sleeping pad. These are multifunctional, and again, if you look at my video on my sleeping system, I talked at length about this. What you can do with this is you just basically place this inside of your hammock, and this will actually be good down to about 50 degrees. You'll be nice and cozy with something like this with just that insulated poncho. You can push it a little bit lower with the green bag if you chose to, but at some point it's going to become uncomfortable, especially on your arms, because your arms are still, like I said, in contact with the outside edges of that hammock. So that's your first layer of protection that you would have. The second would be what's called an underquilt. The underquilt is basically like a quilt, except you can see the ends of it here are stitched up, and they have shock cord tie-outs where it's secured to the hammock. I'm going to show you how I rig mine and different types of adjustments. And essentially, once you get this adjusted for your comfort level, don't sit there and pull it all the way out, because then you have to go through the whole process again of adjusting it. So you basically just clip it on and use it and clip it off. So that makes it really easy to deploy and to stow. In this particular example here, the black is adjusted for comfort for the head end of the hammock, and the lighter color is for your foot end. So that kind of helps me in setting it up. And again, like I said in this video, we're going to show you how to set this up yourself. The underquilt, besides providing that dead air space between the hammock and the outside air, also is multifunctional. You can use it as a blanket, or wrapping it around yourself. You can take it and use it as additional insulation in the green bag if it gets really cold and you have to sleep on the ground under a tarp or in some kind of structure. You lay this down, you take this and you place this on yourself and place yourself inside of your green bag, and this provides an additional layer of insulation. And that's what's nice about using the green bag is because of that extra space inside there. You could actually wear quite a few layers inside the bag if necessary to stay warm. My particular underquilt, which I've got laid out here, is made by a company called Arrowhead Equipment, and this particular model is known as the Potomac. This one here was not inexpensive. It was about $200. I think it was $180 or $190, something like that. But anyway, this is a 3-season variant, and the weight of it is about 1.5 pounds. It's designed for the Hennessy hammock, because I used to use a Hennessy hammock, but I've since retired that because it's become not quite unserviceable, but it's torn up in a few places and I've had to repair it. But anyway, you can see the asymmetrical tie-outs for the Hennessy layout. And when you lay this out, when you take the shock cord and you loosen up the shock cords, it'll lay out flat and square, almost like a poncho liner. Again, I've said it before, once you have this thing dialed in for your particular hammock, you should keep it shock corded like that, in my opinion, because this makes it very easy just to go ahead and hook it right up, and you don't have to go through that process of tightening and loosening it up to make sure you have enough airspace. And as such, I've got this dialed in for my particular setup. There are a wide variety of vendors out there now making underquilts, so when you shop for one, find whatever one works for you and works for your budget. And I consider underquilt to be a must-have item for the 3-season hammock camper. Arrowhead Equipment also makes a 4-season version of this particular underquilt, which in their literature they say that it will take you down comfortably to 0 degrees. I have not camped in a hammock in 0-degree temperature, so I cannot speak from any kind of experience. Nothing quite like shooting a hammock video on a windy day. I mean, we've got quite the kite action going on there. If we had a little kayak or something like that, we could probably propel ourselves pretty good with something like that. It's like a spinnaker rig. Okay, anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to set this thing up for cold weather. The first layer of cold weather is going to be just using our closed cell pad. So the closed cell foam pad that you're seeing here is good for myself. I use it anytime the temperature at night is below 70, and it works down to about 50 degrees, and I usually sleep very comfortably like that. So now our wind's died down. That's awesome. Now we're going to go ahead and deploy our underquilt. Here are the details of the attachment. As you can see here, we just have a carabiner with a shock cord running down. And we're just taking that carabiner and merely clipping it to where the knot meets the hammock. And that's basically where the cordage that suspends the hammock meets the hammock knot itself, or the fabric of the hammock. You can see as you have your shock corded adjustments here. And ideally what you want to do is you want to adjust so you have some dead air space between the hammock and the underquilt to provide that insulative value. And as we go over the other side here, you can see the same attachment here. It's really simple to employ and it works very well. When you need to stow your underquilt, it's a very simple process. It's my hope that this video gives the hammock camper some kind of insight into utilizing their hammock as a shelter for a 3-season shelter rather than just a warm weather type of shelter solution. I hope this helps. This is Brett from SurvivalComms. Till next time.